Hey everybody! Today, I'm going to provide a walkthrough for the game Townstar by Gala Games. Although it is a blockchain game, what really sets it apart is the focus on gameplay. You don't need to be a crypto pro to get started. In fact, the blockchain aspect is practically transparent. It's a fully fledged game, not just some thinly veiled crypto exchange. Townstar is still in beta, and the developers are incredibly active and responsive, particularly on Discord. I've only been playing for about a month, but I've already seen a significant improvement, both to Townstar and to the Gala Games platform as a whole. This is a very exciting time to be involved in this project. The first thing of note is that Townstar runs on a 6-day cycle. Every Tuesday, the world map is reset, there's a land rush for prime spots, and everyone starts from scratch. This is a really fun concept because it prevents burnout. You don't lose months of competitive progress if you want to just take a break for a week. It also puts brand new players on an even playing field with those that have been playing for months. And possibly my favorite part of this design is that it encourages people to experiment with different strategies. That's a big part of what makes this game so much fun. Okay, let's get into the walkthrough. First we have to pick a location for a town. I'm going to choose a spot near a river, because that'll make it easier to grow crops. I'll be using an opening that I like to call Sugar Rush. I need to empty out my silo since I'm not going to use wheat. I'm going to sell the pawns that I won't use, so that gives me a little extra starting cash. The goal in Townstar is to create a town which produces and sells crafts for a profit. Items that are easier to acquire, like wood and wheat, don't earn much money, and they don't reward many points either. So you're going to want to work towards higher tier products. Right now, the two highest tier crafts are cake and blue steel. Whichever product you do decide on, the first major hurdle you're going to deal with is a gasoline supply. You need gas to sell products, and you have to sell product to pay your workers' wages. So in this walkthrough, I'll show you one way to get your town running with a self-sustained gas supply. Wood is a really important base component. Windmills, which create sugar out of sugarcane, require wood. And with a recent update, nearly every building also requires wood during construction. I'm going to burn through this starting wood really fast, so let's hire a lumberjack. I'm also going to need a storehouse to hold the sugar until I get enough to sell. You can only sell things in batches of 10 or 100, so the tricky part here is crafting 10 sugar before I run out of money. You always want to make sure to build storage before your first crafted item is complete. Otherwise, it just gets destroyed, and all those resources that you used making it just go to waste. Now that my storehouse is almost complete, I'll queue up my first windmill. Since I'm going on a sugar rush, I'm going to need to start farming sugarcane pretty soon. Sugarcane requires 8 water, and rather than wait on my farmer to run back and forth to the well, I'm going to use the river, ponds, and marshes to keep my sugarcane growing automatically. They call that passively watered. I'm not going to complete construction on that just yet, because I want my farmer to harvest just a few more wheat. I want an even 10 wheat, so that I can sell one batch, and it won't be taking up any more room in my silo. And since I'm using the river and ponds, I don't really need this well either. Let's go ahead and sell that. That sugarcane field is kind of far away, so I'm going to need another farmer to help keep the sugarcane flowing. Most buildings have some sort of a prerequisite to start construction. A road is a pretty common one. So in order to build a farmer house, I need to build a road first. I like to stack my workhouses off to the side. That way, they don't throw shade on my crops or wind block my windmills. Most buildings cast shade around them, and they also block wind flow. The bigger the building, the further that effect extends. Crops that are shaded take longer to grow, and buildings like the windmill and the wind turbine are negatively affected by wind block. If a building is blocking the wind from getting to a windmill, it takes longer to create the sugar. So the trick is to find the right balance. You don't want your buildings too far apart, otherwise it takes forever for your millers to get their supplies. but you don't want them too close together either, because it takes longer to actually mill the sugar. Silos and windmills are considered large buildings, and they block wind for 3 tiles. So that's why I put my first windmill to the left of the trade depot. That puts it just out of range for the silo's wind block effect. As soon as my farmer collects that 10th wheat, I can get rid of that last wheat field. That'll empty out my silo to make room for future crops, and it'll make sure that my farmers are focused strictly on collecting sugarcane. That should help keep my windmills producing sugar at a steady rate. I think I've got enough money to build my second windmill now. And I can also finally sell off the last of this wheat to make room in my silo. The $3,000 that you get for wheat isn't really worth the gas, but I think I'm going to need it to get through this initial push. Wages are going to be really close, but if I have to, I can always sell gas to get through that first sale. Oh, and I don't need that pond anymore either, so I can sell that for a nice little 5k boost. Okay, I've got my first windmill going, and the second one is just about built. I need just one more sugarcane field, and then I think it's just a waiting game. With this setup, I've got 1 lumberjack, 3 farmers, 2 sugarcane fields, and 2 windmills. It's going to take about 40 minutes to craft the 10 sugar that I need. I've added a timer to the video so that you get an idea of how long each of these phases actually takes. Okay, let's fast forward a bit and see what this first sugar sale looks like. Okay, here we are at just about 40 minutes of game time. You can see I've only got enough money to pay wages for about 2 more minutes. That little white circle towards the top left, that's the countdown timer to payday. Wages are paid every minute, and if workers don't get paid, they drop what they're doing and they go rest in their houses. It's not always the end of the game though. As long as you have gas and at least 10 of something to sell, you can pay your workers and get things moving again. We've finally got our 10 sugar. Once you've got a plan, you really just need about 10 minutes in the beginning, and then you can take a 30-minute break. Go get some coffee. You're going to need it. I want to show you what it looks like when you run out of money, so I'm going to hold off on this sale for just a couple minutes here. Let's wait till this next payday. There we go. The wage icon starts blinking red. That means the next tick can't be paid. Alright, let's sell this sugar. As of right now, it makes no difference which city you sell to, except cities farther out use more gas. So I always just sell to the closest city. And again, since I've got 10 sugar and at least 1 gas, I'm not too worried about running out of money. It looks like my truck is going to get back with the money from our sugar sale with about 10 seconds to spare. Right now, I'm trying to establish my core income. I need to get to a point where I can produce a steady stream of sugar, because the wages for running a gas production can get pretty expensive. I've still got plenty of gas, so that means I have a lot of time to build up my sugar production. With the money from that first sugar sale, I can clear a tree and make room for another fully watered sugarcane field. I like to have enough crops to keep my farmers moving at all times, and I always build my crops before my windmill. If you're not harvesting enough sugarcane to keep all your millers busy, building an additional windmill can really slow things down. One really important aspect of Townstar is maintaining a good balance between harvesting crops and crafting products. If your silo fills up and stays full, you're probably not crafting fast enough. This can really cause problems when you're harvesting multiple types of crops, say wheat and sugarcane, because then your crafters can't get all the supplies that they need. It used to be that one lumberjack could keep 2 windmills going, and he still can, but a recent change makes it a little trickier now. Wood is required to build most buildings, so I need to make sure I've got enough lumberjacks to overproduce wood. That way, I'm not waiting around when it's time to build my next windmill. I notice that I'm getting a little bit close to being wood starved, so let me build another lumberjack. He's going to help support my sugar production and prepare for the next windmill. The next few steps are more of the same. I'm trying to build towards 5 windmills and the crops, farmers, and lumberjacks to keep them going. But before I build any more windmills, I want to make sure I've got the watering structure to support the extra wood and sugarcane that I'm going to need. Since I'm by a river, that entire side has passive water. Right next to the river has 5 water. 1 tile away has 4. All the way down to 1 water 5 tiles away. Ponds also provide passive water. 2 to the tiles touching the pond, and 1 water 1 more tile further out. It's definitely worth the time to plan out your water structure. It's a huge time savings if your farmers don't have to water the crops. I'm getting ready to place my 4th windmill, but I realize I put my lumberjack in the wrong spot. It's casting wind block right where I want my windmill to go. There's plenty of open space, but I don't want my windmills too far from my silo. If the miller has to walk too far to pick up sugarcane, it can really slow down the time to craft sugar. Fortunately, lumberjack houses are cheap, and as a core building, they don't require any wood for construction, so it's not a real big deal to move it. I use a little trick here to pack those houses a little bit closer together. It's a little bit more expensive, but space is at a premium during the endgame. While I'm at it, I'll build another farm or 2. Alright, let's fast forward to the last part of building up my core income, so you can see what that looks like. There's not a whole lot left to do at this point, other than just wait to sell sugar and build those last 2 windmills. With 2 windmills, I was producing about 1 sugar every 2 minutes. 3 windmills gave me 1 sugar every minute and a half. Now that I'm up to 5 windmills, I'm getting about 1 sugar per minute, which means I can sell 1 batch of sugar every 10 minutes. That's going to be more than enough to cover the gas production, and it leaves me with plenty of profit for expansion. I want to point out that my most recent windmill is wind blocked by my silo. Buildings have 2 proximity effects, shade and wind block. Crops are affected by shade, while windmills and wind turbines are affected by wind block. Closer to the building has a stronger impact. Large buildings like the refinery, silo, and the windmill all cast shade and wind block in a radius 3 tiles out. Medium buildings cast in a 2-tile radius, and small buildings cast just 1 tile out. Another type of proximity effect in the game is pollution. It works pretty much the same as shade. Industrial buildings generate pollution, and pollution impacts crops. I can finally start laying in the groundwork for my gas production. There are 2 bottlenecks here: money to afford the buildings, and the time that it takes for the builder to carry wood to the construction sites. I'll be building 17 pieces in total, so that's quite a bit of waiting around, watching the builder run back and forth. I'm going to place the roads first. That way, I can keep those trees growing for as long as possible. After that, I'll build the warehouse and fuel storage, followed by the wind turbines. I don't want my gas production to be energy starved, so I want to make sure I place my wind turbines far enough away from the future refinery site to not be wind blocked. Then I'm going to build the oil pumps. Those are on a 3-minute timer, so I'd like those to be ready to collect right when I build my first industrial worker. Next is the worker houses, then the refineries, and last but not least, the water pumps. I like this order because it sets up all the requirements before I actually have to start paying wages. When it comes time for the refineries, I don't actually complete the construction until my water pumps are ready. Water pumps are the industrial equivalent of ponds. In the same way that ponds provide passive water to crops, water pumps provide passive water drums to buildings. Okay, I've got 2 refineries running. Both are fully watered by the 2 water pumps, and because of how long it took, my workers had plenty of time to gather the energy and the crude oil that's going to be necessary. So gas production should be off to a fairly quick start. And off we go! 4 hours and 42 minutes of game time, and we've finally produced our first gasoline. This build is now fully self-sustained and generating enough income to fund expansion. The next step is up to you. You could set up a ranch, you could try your hand in the textile industry, or you could be the next great cake phenom. I do just want to briefly touch on the blockchain aspect of this amazing game. Townstar is part of the Gala network. Gala itself is an ERC20 token. You can earn Gala by playing Townstar and finishing in the top 10. Eventually, they want to expand the rewards to the top 1,000 weekly finishers. That BitTrue item there is brand new. It's an NFT that generates passive wheat in the same way that pawns generate passive water. Townstar has already incorporated a few NFTs, which are ERC 1155 tokens. There's two bots that you can build if you can collect all of the necessary parts: the farm bot and the crane bot. Both will have uses within Townstar. To build the farm bot, you'll need to collect 1,000 various NFTs. Those were rewards to node owners for running their software nodes. The colored diamond indicates the rarity of that particular part, with the gold legendary items being the most rare. There's also a referral system. You can earn a small amount of Gala with each referral, but you can also earn a fountain. Fountains are awesome. You can use them in Townstar to provide passive water. It's really cool to see NFTs incorporated into a game in a meaningful way. There's a ton of potential there, and the possibility to be able to use an item across multiple games, to me, is just amazing. Right now, there are 4 different fountains. The bigger fountains provide more water to a greater area of effect. And finally, there's the software node. If you buy a license for a software node, you can earn Gala and NFTs by running the node and supporting the network. I really hope this walkthrough is going to help you get your town jump started and get over that first hurdle of gasoline production. I've included my referral link if you'd like to jump in and have some fun with the beta version of Townstar. If you've enjoyed this video, please vote for this video in the Townstar video contest.